What is up, party people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamila. This is JemilaBeReadin, because I do be reading. And I feel like it's been a minute since I did that specific intro, so kind of just rolled off the tongue though. So anyways, it's April, so it's time to talk about the books that I read in March. I thought it was a pretty good reading month for me. I found some new favorites. I generally enjoyed all of the books that I read this month. We're also now like officially a third of the way through the year, which is kind of wild to me. Where is the time going? I don't know, but let's talk about some books. So at the top of March, I read The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. This is an adult contemporary romance. It's about, who is this about? We have Lily and we have Nick. So Lily is a big fan of this one kind of like obscure fantasy book written by someone who has like a pseudonym, and then they kind of like disappeared. But she one day decides to write to this author via email that she found on his website, and they strike up a conversation, kind of like an online friend situation. And then things kind of end badly, but then enter Nick, who is in fact the secret author that she has been writing to. They end up being neighbors, and she needs help finding a date to her sister's wedding, and he helps her. And he's also like trying to hide the fact that he was this person because things ended badly, and he wants to tell her, but he can't because she's like mad at this whole situation. Anyways, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was so cute. I thought it was really funny. It was just such a good time. I really liked it. And I think this author typically writes YA. I may or may not check it out, but I know that she is writing more following like the sisters of this book. But I just loved this. I really did. I'd give this one like a 4.25 stars. Definitely getting up there with a new favorite romance, for sure. Then I read another romance, but really it's more like a contemporary fiction book, and that's The Sweetest Remedy by Jane Igaro. I read this with a couple of my friends for a little mini book club that we have, and well, none of us liked it. I was really excited because I have had this and The Ties That Tether on my shelves for a while. I was really excited to get to it. I feel like I've heard generally positive things about this author's books, but I didn't like this one. So we are following Hannah, who her estranged father dies. He was not in her life growing up, but he dies, and she gets invited to his funeral back in Nigeria, and she goes and meets all of her half siblings and kind of like gets to reconnect with her Nigerian heritage. And she meets a guy and all that stuff. And I knew that it wasn't like gonna be like fully a romance in the traditional sense, but I wasn't expecting how little the actual romantic plot there was going to be in this book. It's definitely more contemporary fiction about this girl like reconnecting with her heritage, and you know, kind of like your classic contemporary novel. I just didn't love this one. I just feel like the author was trying to do too many things. The romance didn't feel developed, but also the like kind of coming of age, rediscovering her heritage, and reconnecting with her half sibling, not even reconnecting, connecting for the first time with her half siblings, all that stuff. It just didn't feel like fully developed. Like, I don't know that the author like really know in what direction she wanted to go, and just kind of threw a bunch of different things at the wall. And also, this is multi POV, so we have mostly Hannah as our main point of view. We get some of the love interest, but not that much. And then we also get like points of view from the half siblings. So then we also kind of have a little bit of their individual plots going on, and those don't feel very fully developed too, because there's just too much going on. I think this would have been better if it was just like exclusively from Hannah's POV. It was just kind of all over the place. And there was also one of the half siblings who grew up in Nigeria but was like living in New York, and he wants to be a rapper, and he like puts on this like black scent a little bit, and it's just like really interesting that no one really touched on that. I think that could have been a really interesting conversation to have regarding like the diaspora. And it was just weird and it wasn't touched on. I just didn't really like this all that much. So then I read some books for the Trans Rights Readathon, which I participated in. It happened in the last like full week. No, the third week. Oh my God. March 21st through 27th, I believe, is when it happened. So it was like the third week of March. And it was a readathon that was put on by an author / book talker named Sim Kern, who had this idea to all of us like read trans books and to also like donate to trans rights organizations. So I was fundraising for an organization here in Oregon called Black and Beyond the Binary Collective, which is a nonprofit that provides like resources and training for Black, trans, queer, and intersex Oregonians. And I think I wasn't like doing a good job of tracking, but I think I was able to raise around $400. I donated $100, and so like other people donated $300. But I read 3 books for the Trans Rights Readathon, so let's talk about them. They were all great, by the way. So the first is The Deep by River Solomon. I read Sorrowland by this author last year, and it ended up being one of my favorite books of the year. So I was very excited to pick this one up, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as much as Sorrowland, but it was still very good and incredibly thought-provoking. So this book is following the descendants of pregnant enslaved African women who were thrown overboard on the slave ships, and they ended up becoming kind of like mermaid-like-ish creatures and ended up having like their own community in the water, basically like in the deep ocean. And our main character, Yetu, is like the, what is it called? I'm already forgetting. But she's basically the person in the community who remembers their history. So she just like has all of the memories of her people all the way to basically like how their people started. And there's one person, I want to say it's called the librarian, but I don't think that's correct. But there's basically one person who holds all of the memories, like, and then that kind of gets passed along, and a new person comes in and holds all the memories. So the rest of the people like don't remember this particular history, but every year they have what's called a remembrance, and Yetu, or whoever is the person that holds all the memories, basically like gives them the memories, and it's like a whole like process and ceremony where that person like guides them through their memories so that they can remember, and it's something that they need to do every year. Basically, like this book is like about the importance of remembering your past and collective trauma, but also how that's something that needs to be shared amongst the people rather than just like it being instilled in like one person or one small group of people, because that could be very damaging. That is at least what I took away from it. I don't know. I haven't stopped thinking about this book since I read it. It was just so good. It's very descriptive. I feel like I was like there in the book. And yeah, it's just really good. I really like River Solomon. I plan on reading An Unkindness of Ghosts, which is, I believe, their debut that came out a while ago. And they only have 3 books out, so I'm excited to complete their backlist before the end of this year. Then I picked up Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender, which is a YA contemporary novel following our titular Felix. He is a trans boy who is going to an art school in New York. One day someone puts up a display. They hacked into his Instagram account and like found all of his privated pictures of what he used to look like before he transitioned, and like put it up in the school and like put his like dead named him and all of that stuff, and it was just really bad. So Felix wanted to take revenge, and I'm here for it personally, but he has an idea of who he thinks did it, and basically like catfishes them to like try to make them fall in love or just like kind of find out like what happened. Just wanted to like destroy this person, and it just kind of leads into this whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. I've been meaning to read this book for so long. It's been on my e-reader for a very long time, and I'm excited that I was finally able to read it, and I really enjoyed it. I give this one 4 stars. I just think that it's so teenagery, which is a compliment because I feel like oftentimes YA doesn't feel like it's targeted towards young adults all that much. Not all the time, but I've been getting that sense occasionally when I do pick up YA. But this one just felt like messy in the way that teens are messy, and everyone just acted like teenagers. It really threw me back to high school. I had a really good time reading it. I think it's like a very compulsive read as well. I just like kept thinking about it when I was at work, and I was like, I can't wait to go home and read this book, or I can't wait to go on my commute so I can read this book. It was a good time, and I highly recommend it, especially for teens. The final book that I read for the Trans Rights Readathon was Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, which was so good. Honestly, Akwaeke Emezi never misses. I'm also hoping to try and finish up their backstory by the end backstory. Their backlist before the end of this year. I think I have 3 more books now. Also, I think it's snowing outside. No, it's hailing. That's unfortunate. I have to go outside. Anyways, Pets. I think I'd give this one like a 4.75. It isn't quite a 5-star, just at least comparatively to other Akwaeke Emezi books that I read, but it was damn good. I really loved this one. This one is following... Who are we following? We're following Jam. We are in the city of Lucille, and there are no more monsters in Lucille. It's like kind of like this very idyllic utopia situation. Revolutions have happened. Now we're in the aftermath where life is good, or so we think. Jam ends up accidentally releasing this being named Pet from one of her mother's paintings, and Pet has basically come to hunt a monster, even though they supposedly don't exist anymore. And so Jam, along with her friend Redemption, help Pet hunt down this monster. And again, I think this book also has a lot to do with like remembering and how it's important to remember our past so that we don't repeat mistakes in the same mistakes in the future. Which it was really interesting, like reading these so close together and just like the importance of remembering. But this was so good. I really, really liked it. Like I said, Akwaeke Emezi doesn't miss, and I'm very excited to pick up Bitter soon, which is the prequel to Pet. Then I just kind of wanted to pick up a quick little monster romance, and I picked up Sweet Berries, which is the second book in the Cambric Creek series. You may be familiar with the first one, which is Morning Glory Milking Farms. This one is a monster romance. Like I said, we have a Mothman as our love interest. And we have Grace as our protagonist, who works at a farm in Cambric Creek. And she basically does like event planning and all that stuff for the farm. And they meet each other, and it's very steamy. And it's very sweet and wholesome. It's honestly, if you're looking for like a quick, like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl romance to read, I would check this one out. Like, it's very, very low stakes. There really isn't like a third act breakup or conflict. It's just a good time. It's just fluff and spice. And it was a good time. I would probably give this one like a 3-star. And then the final book that I picked up in March, technically I finished this yesterday, which was April 1st, but I'm going to count it because I read the majority of it in March. And that is The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. This is a debut, I believe, and it's like, I think it's contemporary fiction. I'm actually like not quite sure what time period this is set in. Definitely like in my head post 2000, like so within the last 20 years, but also like apparently the 90s is considered historical, which is kind of wild to think about. But there's like TVs and phones and stuff, but it's not like super present. But I think it's also because this takes place in a village in India, like a rural village. So anyways, we have Geeta as our main character. 5 years ago, her husband disappeared, and many people believe that she murdered him. And she is kind of just like the town pariah at this point. People kind of ignore her or just like avoid her. People think that she's like a spirit who's trying to like come back and kill men and stuff like that. So then she ends up being recruited by various women in the town to kill their husbands, because they're all like bad men. And it just is kind of like this whole situation. I think it's better to go into this not knowing much, but I think I had like a very specific idea of like how this book was gonna go, and it is not at all. So I think it's best to go into this not knowing much. And what did I think about this? I think I'd probably give this like a 3.5 star. I enjoyed reading it. Like I said, it didn't really go in the direction that I thought it was gonna go, which is fine. But I do think like plot-wise, it was a little bit messy. I don't know, like it was kind of a little bit all over the place in my opinion, but it was good. I don't really have much to say. Like I said, I finished it yesterday, so I haven't really had the chance to think much about it. And this is also a book that I'm reading with my local book club, and we haven't met yet to discuss it. So I imagine I will have more thoughts after that, but I'm hoping to have this video up before we even meet. So yeah, I guess if you're interested in the description, check it out. If you're not, don't check it out. I guess that kind of goes for all books, doesn't it? Anyways, those are all the books that I read in the month of March. I'm excited for April. Let's see where this month takes me. I am going to be going on vacation in the last week of April, which I'm very excited about. So maybe I'll take you along. I'm not much of a vlogger, but I'm trying. I really am. I've actually tried to do like just a chill reading vlog like twice already, and they were all busts. Okay, it was not it was not going right. But that's all I have for you. Y'all have a good April, and I will see you before my next wrap up. I promise. I actually have some videos in the works, so check y'all in the next video.